Hi everybody, welcome to Economist. So today I'm doing a comparison video between the 2018 Ford Fusion and the 2018 Ford EcoSport. The EcoSport is Ford's latest addition to their US lineup. It's been built in Europe and some other regions for a while now, but the 2018 model has been completely updated and brought over to the United States market for the first time ever. It's going to be filling the mini SUV segment, which is the fastest growing segment in America right now. And it will be competing with the likes of the Fusion Hybrid, which is the traditional vehicle for the city-dwelling professional who has a lot of places to go and might go on the occasional adventure on the weekends. The EcoSport is seeking to fill those gaps that the Fusion still has, though, when it comes to convenience, storage, and size. Let's go ahead and start with the things that the Fusion does better. First of all, fuel economy. It might be obvious because it is a hybrid Fusion, but it has much better fuel economy, 43 in the city, 41 in the highway, whereas the EcoSport has 27 in the city and 29 on the highway. Now, it's interesting that in the hybrid Fusion, the city gas mileage is higher than the highway gas mileage, and it's the opposite on the EcoSport. So if you're doing a lot of inner city driving, then the Fusion is a good option when it comes to saving money on fuel. Some of that efficiency also comes from the CVT transmission and the ability to drive on electric power only for short distances. That being said, I'm not a big fan of the CVT in the Fusion, and I think the transmission in the EcoSport is much better. There's a sport mode in the EcoSport, and it's a lot of fun to drive around in sport mode. It keeps it in a lower gear and gives you a lot of pep for such a dinky little four-cylinder engine. The adaptive cruise control in the Fusion is a lifesaver. It's perfect for stop-and-go traffic because it does go all the way down to 0 miles an hour. So basically you can take your foot off the gas, set it to 70 miles an hour, and if you're in stop-and-go traffic on the highway, it takes care of itself. It even has lane keep assist, which is nice to keep you in your lane. It's not quite a super cruise or an autopilot type of deal, but it's close. And it's surprisingly high-tech for a vehicle that's about $26,000. The Fusion also has automatic park assist, which is a pretty cool feature that actually works way better than I thought it would. The EcoSport does not have that feature, so in terms of technology for the price point, since both of these vehicles are about $26,000, the Fusion Hybrid does edge it out. Now, the Fusion does have a much more traditional form factor and aesthetic. So if you're into the sedan and you're into that traditional look of everything, then I'd go with the Fusion. However, the EcoSport is very cute. The Fusion also has more horsepower. It is heavier though, so acceleration isn't actually better than the EcoSport. When it comes to acceleration, the EcoSport is definitely quicker. Legroom. The Fusion has the advantage on legroom. There is more legroom in the back, and you do have a little bit more variability in the front. That being said, I have 6-foot friends that have sat in the EcoSport, and they can sit behind themselves. Meaning if they sit in the front and adjust the seat to how they like it there, they can go right behind that seat and they still have room and they're relatively comfortable. The average person is going to be perfectly fine in the back of an EcoSport. The Fusion Hybrid has a surprisingly good sound system, and it has much more upscale materials, feel, fit, and finish than you would expect for an SE trim. In fact, I would say the SE trim in the Fusion Hybrid is equivalent to the EcoSport Titanium when it comes to fit and finish and feel of the materials. I would even venture to say that the EcoSport has more hard plastics and slightly lower scale materials than the interior of the Fusion, even though they're both at about $26,000 price point. The trunk in the Fusion is very good for a lot of things, but I think a lot of people are going to prefer the swinging hatchback of the EcoSport as opposed to a traditional trunk. When it comes to groceries in the back of the EcoSport, there is a nice little lip so that things won't fall out when you open the door. The Fusion Hybrid also has a lot of batteries that take up some amount of space in the back. It's not nearly as bad as the plug-in version of the Fusion, but it is something to keep in mind, and it's a frustrating amount for me in particular because my suitcase just barely doesn't fit between the batteries and the edge of the trunk. On the highway, the Fusion is a bit more comfy thanks to the longer wheelbase and more insulation as well. So overall, the Fusion feels a little bit more upscale than the EcoSport, even though they're about the same price point, but you do sacrifice on a few practicality issues and a few form factor issues when it comes to the overall body style of the vehicle. You're also sacrificing a lot when it comes to powertrain, because that hybrid powertrain is super efficient, great in the city, great on the highway, but it's not a lot of fun. The EcoSport definitely edges it out when it comes to driving fun. So, what are some of the other EcoSport benefits? It's shorter, more compact, and hardly loses any functionality in terms of storage space and seating. Since the EcoSport is higher off the ground, it's also easier to get in and out of, which is especially nice for elderly people and people who might have kids that they need to hoist into a car seat. You don't have to bend over so much to put a kid into a car seat or help them buckle. And if you're an older person or if you have back issues or anything like that, it's much easier to just slide right into the EcoSport than it is to sit down lower into the Fusion. The EcoSport also has 4x4 capability. This one is a 4x4. It's an all-wheel drive system. Unfortunately, I didn't have time to test it off-road or in any snow or anything like that, but considering the fact that it's been very popular in Europe and things like that, I would expect it to perform quite well in those conditions. Now, here comes the design part, which is always subjective. Everybody I've talked to so far agrees that the EcoSport is super cute. It's a very cute, fresh, playful design, and that follows through in the interior too. It's definitely targeting a younger customer, even though a lot of older people will still enjoy it as well. I also think you have some cooler wheel options, especially if you get the sport version of the EcoSport. You can get some cool black rims and stuff like that, even though the wheels are a bit small, but that kind of contributes to that cute look. The interior is also a little bit fresher as well. You have the floating touchscreen as opposed to an integrated touchscreen, which is a bit more of a modern look. And you have a very simple layout of buttons that's pretty easy and very intuitive to get used to. I like the fact that they're big and chunky too, because it means that you don't have to look away from the road. And the fact that the screen is detached and higher up on the dash means if you do have to look at it, you're not looking down as much. You're just kind of looking to the side and you're not losing track of the road in front of you. Both of these vehicles have a Forward Pass Connect, which allows you to control your vehicle via your phone. You can do everything from track its location to do a remote start, remote lock and unlock. You can schedule start times and lots of other features, all from your phone, and that works anywhere in the world. The EcoSport also has Wi-Fi, so for $20 a month you can get unlimited Wi-Fi, and that is LTE with pretty good speeds from what I've found. And with unlimited Wi-Fi at $20 a month, I mean, I can't even get that in my house. Now, the tailgate, or I guess swing gate, is a pretty nice feature, especially if you have a lot of things to put in. Again, you don't have to bend over as much, and there's multiple adjustable layers where you can have different storage options in the back too. One interesting feature with the EcoSport is that it has a side swinging hatch in the back. So I guess it's not really a hatch at all. It's a fifth door in a true sense. The reason it's hinged on the left is so if you park on the right side of the road in a parallel parking situation, it swings open towards the sidewalk. You can fold down the seats to create even more space, and with the seats folded down, there's nothing you can't fit in there. It has a surprising amount of space for a vehicle that has a wheelbase that's closer to a Focus than to a Explorer. A tailgate would be preferable in my opinion, but the swing gate you get used to, it's not that big of a deal at all. You can also get a cool little spare tire on the back, so you have a bit more of a Jeepy sort of feel to it, but I think without it, it looks fine too. There's also plenty of storage in the EcoSport, and there's lots of different cubby holes and slots to put things in, but each storage place is a little bit small. I think the Fusion has the advantage there. It has a bigger center console, more places to store things, and the glove box is significantly bigger. One thing that both of these vehicles have is a normal socket that you can plug your laptop in or charge your phone or whatever in the back. It's not just a USB plug or a 12-volt socket, it's a straight up normal 3-prong socket. So if you're going camping in your EcoSport, which I imagine a lot of people will, you can use it as a small generator to run everything from a light to a fan to even a whole TV setup, which I did in my expedition when I went tailgating. The The adjustable cargo shelf is pretty useful in the EcoSport. However, it doesn't seem like it'll carry a lot of weight, so I wouldn't put something super heavy on the top level. You might pay more in gas every week with the EcoSport, but at the current pricing, it packs way more value than any SUV I've ever driven. So what vehicle overall is best? Well, it's hard to say. If it were up to me, I think I would actually have to test drive the EcoSport a little bit more. Right now, I kind of like my Fusion a little bit better, except for the fact that it is pretty slow with that CVT and the hybrid powertrain. That being said, it feels a little bit more smooth and upscale and handles a little bit more the way that I like it. But if you're the type of person that's going to be doing a lot of multi-use things with your car, if you're going on camping trips, but you're also commuting to work, and you might be starting a family, or you have a couple kids, or if you're an empty nester, for example, and you want to go on the occasional weekend adventure, but you still have to get to work every day, the EcoSport is probably the better vehicle for you. The EcoSport is the newer vehicle, and in a lot of people's eyes, it'll be the more exciting, better vehicle. However, if you're doing a lot of urban driving where you're going from parking lot to parking lot, then the Fusion might be the better vehicle for you. In a sense, the EcoSport is like a Swiss Army knife, and the Fusion Hybrid is like a precisely sharpened chef's knife. The EcoSport can do a lot of things pretty well and pretty cheaply. The Fusion Hybrid is really good at one set of things that the sedan has always been good at: city and suburban driving. If you do most of your driving in urban sprawl or suburban environments, the Fusion Hybrid is the practical choice. With its active park assist, amazing fuel economy, bulletproof reliability, and multiple traditional storage options, the Fusion is the king of the midsize sedan. For everyone else who doesn't need a big vehicle, the EcoSport is a fantastic little jack of all trades. I think it's better looking than all of its competitors, it's super fun to drive, it has a ton of creative storage solutions, and it's the right ride height for everything short of racing. It's plucky to drive, and you can't deny it, it's super cute. So if you're looking for the latest and greatest, then the EcoSport is for you. But if you're looking for the tried and true, I'd go for the Fusion. Thanks for watching, everybody, and I'll see you guys in the next one.